So you're interested in buying a home and converting it to a short-term rental, but you already have a full-time job, you've got a career, plus you've got a family, and you've got just life. So is it possible to manage a short-term rental with all that going on? Well, my wife and I did it, and I want to share with you the 3 critical success factors that were key in us successfully starting our first short-term rental. So let's go. Hi, I'm Dan. I'm an active real estate investor, and I'm on a mission to help immigrant professionals grow their wealth through real estate. If you'd like a copy of my guide, How to Get Started in Passive Real Estate, just click down below in the description. In September of 2022, we purchased a 3-bedroom log cabin right on Lake Norman, which is just north of Charlotte, about an hour or so. We live about 6 hours away by car, so it's certainly not next door. Our intention was twofold. One was to have a place that we could go visit that was a beautiful part in the country for vacations, but also to have some place where we could grow our wealth through renting it out as a short-term rental. So as I mentioned, we bought it September of 2022. In October and November, we spent getting it ready, getting it furnished to rent. And then in December of 22, we actually put it on the market as a rental. So that means, as of this recording, we've been operating it for about 10 months or so, including all the way through the busy season. So how did it go? Well, we've had 51 guests as of today. And of those guests, 43 gave it a 5-star review and only 2 gave it a 4-star review. And we've been profitable throughout that whole time. So I think we did a pretty good job. So how do we do it? Given that I'm pretty busy with my job and my wife is also fairly busy. Let me share with you the 3 critical success factors that allowed us to successfully manage this property without requiring a whole lot of time on our part to do it because we're busy. Critical factor number 1 is the team. I'm starting with the most important factor, and that's creating a great team. And that team starts with a great cleaner. More than likely, you're not going to be cleaning your property on your own, and cleanliness is a top concern for guests when they stay. So getting this right is absolutely critical, probably number 1 of everything. So given this is the Immigrant Wealth channel, and my wife is from Mexico, she went out and looked for somebody in the community and found a great person that could help us. We have an excellent cleaner who's very dependable and does great work. We knew from the very beginning that having a great cleaner was super important. So we agreed to take care of her as she'd take care of us. Us taking care of her meant that we didn't nickel and dime her, that we paid her very well for her work, and that we let her know as far ahead as possible when a cleaning was coming up. Her taking care of us was really taking care of that property, making sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and really looking to see if there's anything that needs to be fixed or being our eyes and ears on that property. She looks out for everything and lets us know if there's anything that she thinks might be an issue, which is great. But the cleaner isn't the only person you need on your team. You also need somebody like a handy person and a landscaper to complete what's really been the core of our team. So things will break. So having somebody that can get on issues and correct them without you being there is super important. And we also happen to find a landscaper who is married to our cleaner. So it's kind of a neat relationship we have with them, husband and wife helping us with our property. Now, this doesn't have to be that way. You can certainly be very successful not having a husband and wife duo, but it turned out in our case that it worked out pretty well. That landscaper is our eyes on the outside of that property, while our cleaner is our eyes on the inside of the property. We've also developed a pretty long list of other people that we contact, not as frequently, but we have them just in case we need their help. That includes a plumber, an electrician, the propane company, a local guy that delivers firewood, a painter, you name it. It's the team that allows us to run this property from afar without really being very involved ourselves. And they take responsibility for many roles to make the property function well. The second critical factor is technology. Another crucial piece in this whole thing is having software applications that we've purchased to help us manage this thing efficiently. Our cabin is currently listed on both Airbnb and VRBO. Our bookings come about 50-50 from each one. The first piece of software that we utilize is something called a channel manager, and this does a whole variety of tasks. The one that we happen to use is called Guesty for Hosts, and it does a great job because it actually has one calendar and prevents people from VRBO to book on top of people from Airbnb, etc. So make sure that we don't get double bookings. The channel manager also allows us to automate all the messages that go to guests, which is super critical. Why? Because there are many messages. I mean, there's a message once somebody books, and then a message 2 days prior to check-in just to let them know their code, the address, all that. Then there's a message we send the day after they check in to make sure things are okay. And there's a message 24 hours before they leave to let them know how to check out. And then a message to follow up after they've left. So these are all automated, which is huge because when you're somebody busy like me and my wife, we don't have to think about it. This all happens in the background. Yes, the automated messages make it easier for us to manage it, but more importantly, it gives a really good, consistent experience to our guests because we take a lot of time to make sure that those messages provide value. Our channel manager also notifies our cleaner to when cleanings are coming up, and it even automates our smart lock that sets the lock for the guest to the last 4 digits of their cell phone number. So it does a lot, and without it, we really couldn't function. Another piece of software that's critical for us is a dynamic pricing solution. The one we use comes from a company called Price Labs. It automatically manages our pricing up in periods of high demand and lower in periods of low demand. This is crucial because it knows way more about the market and what's going on in terms of demand than I do. So it automatically adjusts based on what it's seeing in the market, which helps us maximize our revenue, which is important. One more very important piece of software that we use is an online welcome guide from a company called TouchStay. This guide is super important because it helps answer any questions somebody has prior to coming to stay and then while they're staying, which makes it less work for us to have to answer questions because they're all already answered in the guide. We include things like features of the cabin, we talk about the dock, if you're bringing a boat, how to navigate it out in the water to get to the dock. We talk about house and safety rules and checkout instructions and a whole host of other things too. We send a link to that guide to every guest a few days prior to coming to the cabin so they can prepare. And we also have a printed out version of it in the cabin itself for those who just want to read through it when they're already there. The third critical factor is having a growth mindset. The last key factor that allows us to be successful is having what's known as a growth mindset. What is that? It's a concept popularized by Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck in her groundbreaking book, Mindset. It refers to the underlying principles that all of us have as humans regarding learning and intelligence. There are 2 beliefs that everybody has. Some people have what's called a fixed mindset. They believe that their basic qualities and intelligence or talent are fixed and can't be changed. They believe that talent alone is what's needed to succeed. Then there are others who have what's called a growth mindset. A growth mindset means that you believe that your intelligence can grow over life and can adapt and can learn and can become good at things that you weren't good at before. So why did I list this as the third critical success factor? Because you need to have a growth mindset when you're going through this. More than likely, you don't know anything about short-term rentals, and this is all new and foreign. And now after a year of purchasing the property and running it for 10 months, my wife and I know a whole lot more than we did before. And I felt we've grown through this process of how to do it. And it's not that difficult now. Now we know how to do it. And you'll make mistakes, and mistakes are normal. For example, one mistake we made is that in certain parts during when it was slow, we lowered the price too much because we ended up getting a guest that came in and damaged our property. And, it turns out in our experience that the less somebody pays to stay at your property, the more of a chance that they're going to damage the property. So we learned that lesson, and it was something that we had to learn, but it allowed us to grow and to become more successful at doing this. So we've learned a lot through this process, and we're a lot smarter than we were even just 6 months ago. So having a growth mindset is key. If you haven't read the book, I recommend you take a look at it. I include a link down below in the description. So you're a busy professional. How do you make this all work? You combine a great team, you combine great technology, and you add in a growth mindset, and I believe you can do it, even if you're a busy professional. So I've just finished describing how we made this all work, but I didn't talk about the why. Why did we do this in the first place? It turns out there's some compelling reasons to do so. If you want to find out why, just click here in this video to check it out. Thanks for watching the Immigrant Wealth channel.